I'm happy to be here speaking about meaning actually, and I wanted to say thank you to Claudio, who started the whole conference basically with the question of meaning. And actually this presentation will be not for Claudio, because Claudio saw most of it in the code biology conference. And it is my intention to repeat some things here and there as well. And what I want to speak about today is the question of what kinds of meaning are there. And it is also kind of a continuation of our dialogue with Claudio, because I asked him about what is organic meaning, for example, or what are the kinds of meaning. This piece from Peirce that is in this slide is actually, I think, is a good representation of what kinds of meaning Peirce tried to distinguish, speaking about different effects produced by sign. One of them is thought, and other one is action. And well, what I want to the questions I want to pose are the following. So, what kinds of meaning effects we can distinguish, and is Peirce useful, and if he is useful, in which version of his theory? And the usual disclaimer about Peirce, that Peirce can be reconstructed in a very different ways. So this will be just my reconstruction, or maybe even my reaction to Peirce. So we can find different definitions of what interpretant is in Peirce. One of them is, for example, this piece where Peirce speaks about interpretant as a mental effect. And it is questionable how well this definition fits biosemiotics, because maybe we can accept this definition, but then we will have to stretch our definition of mental, so maybe it's not the best strategy. We can always refer to this piece from Peirce, where he says that an interpretant actually does not have to be mental, and one of the Peirce's examples are the military commands, when the interpretant is the action, not the mental effect. So yeah, I think probably for biosemiotics this one is the best, or at least this is my favorite. So it's just this very broad definition that basically assumes that any effects of signs are interpretants. And yeah, what is also important is that Peirce often says that interpretant and meaning are the same thing. Then there's this whole universe of different attempts of Peirce to develop a classification of interpretants, and he more or less failed. At least this is the best one that I can find in Peirce, even though it's still not perfect. But from all the range of existing definitions, that I think is the best one. Maybe what I don't like in this particular systematics of interpretants is that it starts with the effect on consciousness. So once again, we have this problem that we have to either find some other definition, or we have to redefine consciousness. So maybe it's still not a perfect solution for biosemiotics. There are other versions of this systematics. I will not go into details here. They all have their flaws. For example, this one, there's this normal interpretant that transports us to the realm of auto, some moral connotations that I don't really want in the theory that I would use. There's also this one that redefines tunnel interpretant with the reference to purpose. There is this completely new terminology with emotional, energetic, and logical interpretants. Not that bad actually. And yeah, as I said, this is my favorite. But I would kind of reformulate it for myself in the following way. So we can distinguish between these three kinds of interpretants that are initial, dynamical, and final. And basically, the initial one can be defined as the effect, the quality that is produced as an effect of sign. The dynamical is this actual event that is produced as an effect of sign, and finally, the final interpretant is the production of or reproduction of rules. So I think it is a good starting point, at least. Maybe it's not a perfect typology still, but this is something we can use. But to make it even maybe more easy to use, or maybe more parsimonious, we can also consider another of Peirce's ideas, that actually interpretants are also representaments. So maybe we don't need a systematics of interpretants. So maybe a typology of signs is enough. So if interpretants are signs, we can just use the typology of signs as a typology of interpretants. So then we basically use the distinction of quasi-sign, sin-sign, and legi-sign taken as results, taken as effects of semiosis, and basically we don't have to have some extra conceptual instruments. We can just use these. Basically, it's more or less the same thing. So initial interpretant is the production of quasi-sign, dynamical interpretant is the production of sin-sign, and final interpretant is the production of legi-sign. Then, as the next step, from this we can go to Peirce's typology of 10 kinds of signs, and we can map it onto this typology of interpretants, and we can have this scheme of which kinds of signs can appear as interpretants. So, as you can see, it's just a specification of the previous triadic scheme. It's just the first are different kinds of quasi-signs, the second is the different kinds of sin-signs, and third, legi-signs. Okay, as the next step, I will try to show how we can actually use this typology. This is how I would represent it. So basically, we have here as I, ID, and IF these three kinds of interpretants. We have as R, it's a sign vehicle, and an O as an object. And so basically, we have these three interpretants that appear in this triangle. So we have basically three triangles here. I will not go into details while there are two different habits in the final interpretant, maybe in the Q&A if you're interested. So how we can use it? So one way to use it is, for example, we can take this famous example from Uexküll, and we can say this that butyric acid produces some initial interpretant in this stick, and then the dynamical interpretant that's produced is the jump or the fall of the tick. Actually, I'm looking for the author of this picture. I'm using it all the time, but I don't know who made it. So why I'm showing this picture now is because this shows that this model can work for the simple forms of semiosis. But what is important that it can also be used for more complex forms of like cultural semiosis or anthroposemiosis. And let me give you an example of that. So let's say before I started my talk, I set a timer for 15 minutes so that I know when to switch to Q&A. And at some moment, at some moment it will go like this. Yeah. And this is what will happen. And what does this mean? What is the effect of this? Well, first of all, there is the immediate interpretant is like maybe it's different for everybody, but we have some mental effect of hearing this sound. But that's the immediate interpretant. What would be the dynamical interpretant for me? For me, it's going to be a signal to switch to the slide with questions, because I want to have time to answer the questions. So we'll speed up and switch to questions. But what is, for now, it looks like very kind of tick-like. But what is interesting is that the dynamical interpretant itself can be a very complex sign that can have its own complex interpretants and its own dynamical interpretants. So, for example, in this case, you're going to see this slide with the questions. It will produce some effect on you, and the dynamical interpretant of that will be you, hopefully, asking some questions. What is interesting here is that this last dynamical interpretant is not produced by me, it's produced by someone else. So here we can see that this model, when we have it in a more complex form, it can actually become a form of interaction or a model of communication. So we can have kind of like something like this. And one last thing probably I want to mention here is that actually what I would also suggest to do is that we can map the distinction of embodiment, exbodiment, and intersubjectivity or interadjectivity on these three interpretants. So basically, the initial interpretant is this kind of, I'm not sure that embodiment is the perfect term, so it's kind of this inward-oriented aspect of sign effect. And the dynamical interpretant is this exbodied or outward-oriented aspect of sign effect. And then, as I said, the habits that sometimes emerge are intersubjective habits, because, for example, the habit of asking questions when you see a slide saying questions is kind of a habit we share, and that's why we can have social interactions. But it is also interadjective on a more fundamental level, even if we are not speaking about social semiosis. In a sense that, in this sense of any semiosis being this communication between previous self and some better considered self. So in this sense, habits are always interadjective, if not intersubjective. So I think these are important features of these three interpretants that can be useful in biosemiotic context. This is just a summary. I will not go into details here. And as I promised, here's the slide. And I didn't even have to wait for the clock. Well, I didn't put it explicitly in my talk, but actually this distinction of embodiment, exbodiment, and the interjectivity kind of assumes that you have some closure inside and outside of which these effects work, or between closures. So yeah, there is a hidden interpreter there. Not that hidden, I just didn't speak about it.
Thank you very much, Ivan. This is actually your title of your paper is one of my favorite quotes from Peirce, and it's from a letter, as you know, to William James in 1907. He was constantly trying to explain his understanding of the pragmatic maxim of James, and I think this is the clearest expression of his pragmatic maxim. And I mean, one of the remarkable features about it, and why I love it, is because it's a non-linear, integrated process of organic interrelation between thought and action. And I wonder how your modeling process, I need to spend more time with the models that you ended on, but does it start to capture the organic interrelation between thought and action? Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that it gives too much detail about how one emerges from the other, but one important nuance that I can add to what I already said is that even though I'm speaking about these three interpretants as three different kinds of effect, we can actually maybe better describe them as the phases of the process. So basically, the first emerges the initial interpretant, and then from it emerges the dynamical interpretant. So this map helps us to distinguish the key phases, but actually it's a dynamical process. So we just try to make a photograph of a moving thing.
All right, thank you.
Thanks very much. I enjoyed very much listening to your argument. Like Jim, I'm also intrigued and would like to spend more time talking on your models. I'm very curious, where did you pick the term embodiment from? In some games, literature on cognition, it pops up now and then, but the only place where I found it defined, formalized in some convincing way is in Mittelberg's work on gestures, which explains stuff like, that we display, for instance, image schemas of gesture, and she calls that EXBODIED. I'm wondering if you picked it from there or where from?
Yeah, I took it from there, but not as a continuation of that tradition, not just in order to invent a new word. Maybe we need a new word, because I'm not sure that I am strictly following what is meant when we're speaking about gestures. Another option was saying disembodiment, but this sounds kind of brutal. So.
I think that term can be very well extrapolated from Mittelberg to something more general. So
yeah.
I like the way you use it.
Maybe it's the same thing. I just didn't check more carefully.
Yes.
Thank you, Evan. I like the type of thing you're doing. Perhaps I misunderstood. If you're defining final interpretant as production of a rule within an organism, I don't see how could it ever adapt, or conversely, how could you ever come to finality, right? If it's simply the same rule being produced all the time, there's no room for adaptation. If at each iteration it's something new, then in no sense is it final. So could you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, I think that's saying that there can be just a cycle in which it will be only a reproduction, it won't be like some rare degenerate case. I think usually it's some reconsideration every time it is involved. One of the reasons why I put reproduction there is probably because of the cold biological context. Because in cold biology, there is this moment that there can be semiosis that barely reproduces the habit, and not something I would, not the idea I would die for.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so thank you again.